Hi, I'm Megan. Welcome to today's live reading of Blood Prophecy 4, Rise of the Hunter by Barb Jones, presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Join me. Prologue. Sisters of Fate, Greece, 1129 BC. The Sisters of Fate controlled the fate of humans. Clotho weaved while Lycetius determined their destiny. Clotho had finished weaving the life of a young girl named Diana when she was interrupted by an appearance from the temple's oracle. Clotho, as leader of the sisters, I request an audience to speak about the prophecy. Clotho motioned for the oracle to come forward and sit among the sisters of fate. She noticed Lycetius was not pleased with the oracle's presence, and Atropos couldn't care. She reached for her sisters and had them put the thread of Diana down. Clotho said, "Come forward, Oracle. I sense the child you wish to speak about. Her thread is in our hands, but we don't know her fate, and Lycetius has not decided it yet." The oracle smiled. "I am not late. Behold the prophecy and turn of events. I merely serve the prophecy with my sight of the future." The sisters of fate gathered around the oracle, and Clotho pushed the prophet to continue. She was impatient to know humans' destinies, especially the children, and Clotho knew the child's fate hung in the balance once the oracle halted the threading and allotting. The oracle spoke. "The prophecy has two sides, tangled in a battle that will span a millennium. The girl's thread there in your hands is special. The prophecy marks her as the messenger, a seer of the temple. She is Diana, is she not? Her mother is immortal, but her father is one of the prophecy's servants. Her destiny will be to serve the prophecy by finding the blood drinker, a keeper, and telling him of the queen's arrival. Alas, there is another child, a twin. Have you threaded him yet?" Clotho looked suspiciously at the oracle, but didn't say a word. Instead, she waited for the prophet to reveal more, but the prophet remained silent. Finally, Clotho couldn't take the silence any longer and said, "Continue, please." The oracle smiled at Clotho and her sisters and said, "The boy, the son of evil, he has an older, darker soul, one that has no beginning, but the end is unknown. There are three prophecies, not one, out in the mortal world. The first prophecy, the first battle, has already taken place. The second prophecy tells of the battle in which the child Diana will speak in the ancient tongue. The third prophecy, the ultimate battle, will be the one the boy serves for all time as he grows into a man, or at least until another child reaches her purification and faces him. This purified child will either win against his evil nature or become his bride, and evil will unleash to the world." Clotho had to think for a moment. She did not expect to hear all about hell on earth and what would happen to the Sisters of Fate if this son won. She needed to know more. She needed to secure the sisters' destinies and purpose for the lives of all humans. "This prophecy you speak of, will it replace the sisters?" The oracle looked straight into her eyes. "The prophecies do not replace the sisters of fate. You need to thread the lives until the right ones serving the prophecy come along. Only you will know their fate, but the son must live as an immortal to fulfill the prophecy, and he will always be known as evil. The daughter, Diana, must die to be reborn again and again as a servant of the prophecy. With each new life, Diana will serve those who belong to the prophecy in ways no one will discover. She will be unimportant to the world except to those who are part of the prophecy." With that, the oracle left the sisters, and Clotho had many more questions, but no one to ask. She faced her sisters and began threading the human lives. The fates decided for the son and the daughter. Chapter 1, Dark Promises. The tall, dark man, the pit, 3 years ago. The tall, dark man fell into the shadows by listening to the screams of the other victims. He still called upon his dark magic to save him as he fell. He could never cease to exist. This was not possible. He is the one that serves the darkness, while the one helps the light. While falling into nothingness, he called upon the darkest of magic to steal all the powers from the other victims. Let them die. They mean nothing to me anymore, he thought. After sensing Elizabeth and Mona nearby, he drained them of their life force, but left enough in Elizabeth to keep her alive. Mona may survive, but it would take years to restore her power, punishment for failing him. He may have been a man of darkness, but he kept his promise to his favorite witch. He continued to draw on the life forces of others to regain his strength. He shouted enchantments. The pit was a portal with its purpose, its own will. The pit supported neither side. Somehow the pit obeyed his will and spat him out violently. Then the pit released Elizabeth and Mona. It expelled people, barely breathing, but at least alive. Once the pit regurgitated him, he set his sights on a new plan. He knew the red-headed queen had claimed victory, forcing him to begin anew. She was the fool who didn't quite understand the prophecy, but since he had existed for centuries, he knew the sign was incomplete. With his hat covering his face once more in its usual fashion, but this time a little lower to hide the scar he received in the battle, he decided it was time to create a formidable army that would not be destroyed. The time was not right to chase her. His army needed to search the world for his lost stone. The stone that Machiel took from him centuries ago. First, he needed to return to the beginning where things started, the river where Krieg was born. He needed only one stone from the river to create this new army. Once the stone was in his possession, he embarked on a little trip. He arrived at the Hawaiian Islands. The Hawaiian Islands, 3 years ago. The 4 Hawaiian gods, Kane, Ku, Lono, and Kanola, sat along the volcano's rim, waiting for the stranger to communicate with them. Kane, the god of the sky and creation, was the one brother that ranked higher than Ku and Lono. Kane was the chief god of the Hawaiian Trinity, and Kanola was the god that complemented him by holding power over the oceans. The gods watched over the land and its people before they saw the stranger. They followed him as he turned over lava rocks, digging his fingers into the earth, which made Lono, the god of agriculture and peace, look disgusted. Ku did not enjoy seeing his brother this way. The stranger, not a native of the islands, continued to walk up the volcano until he reached the rim where they sat. With a raise of his hand, Kane stopped him from walking closer. Ku, the god of war, sensed something familiar about this stranger. The gods all shared the same thoughts and feelings when they were together. The 4 were like one unless separated into the parts of the island. Ku motioned his hand to the ground, forcing the stranger down on his knees. He stretched his hand over the stranger's head, closed his eyes, and chanted. The stranger was forced into reverence as Kane, Lono, and Kanola approached. Kane was the first god to speak. Stranger, you invade our land and its people with your foul stench. What is it you look for from this land? The stranger could not speak their language, but they allowed him to understand it using their powers. The stranger understood what was asked, reached into his coat pocket, and pulled out a stone. He raised the stone to the gods, and using his mind, he told them about needing the hottest fire possible to finish his plan. He told them the prophecy, and the war was divided into 3 parts. The stranger spoke about the 5 heroes that because of them he sought vengeance. Ku sensed the power in the stranger and offered him salvation. He embraced the stranger, and a bond was formed between them. But Kane, Lono, and Kanola were surveillant but powerless as Ku helped the stranger. Ku and the stranger left for Ku's part of the Hawaiian Islands. He noted death, plague, and pestilence in this man. The man was searching for something, then Ku remembered the fire. He summoned Tutu Pele, the goddess of volcanoes and fire, one of the most beautiful goddesses of the Hawaiian Islands. She approached Ku as a beautiful young maiden, but changed her form to an older woman as Ku introduced the stranger. Pele, this is the stranger to our islands. He searches for the hottest fire on earth. The hottest fire the earth can produce, which is the volcano fire. He is no ordinary mortal and a man of dark evil with a story to tell. I think you will enjoy his tale. At this point, the stranger spoke, and Ku made it possible for him to talk to both gods in their language. The tall, dark man looked at the god Ku and smiled. His basic features were kept hidden. He spoke to the god, and in his mind he kept his true purpose hidden. Ku, is it? And you are Pele? I come in search of the hottest fire to breathe life into the stone. and this stone will breathe life into others. If you are the goddess of volcanoes and fire, you could help me." He watched the goddess and the god talk it over, and Ku spoke. "We will help you, but you will owe us a favor. We will call upon you because this act will anger the other gods. Pele senses something about you. We will need you one day to pay your debt for this act of kindness shown to you. Follow her and seek your fire. It would help if you left immediately and only returned when your debt is returned to the Kumeyan gods. You stranger, serve us now." The tall, dark man nodded in acquiescence and gritted his teeth while he hid his true intentions. While the queen enjoyed her time of peace, he planned his return. Pele led him to the heart of her volcano and showed him the pit of fire. As she spoke to him, he could see her beauty. Once he had the stone, he searched her eyes for any sign of attraction, and there was none. She took the stone from him without asking and tossed it into the fire. He shouted in fear that the stone would be lost. He found the stone in his hands after it fell into the fire. It wasn't hot from the fire, but he could sense a burning odor from the rock. "Stranger, the heat will not harm you. This volcano fire turns to ash, but with your stone it will not. The fire is within the stone. Summon the fire when you need it." "What is this stone? It is strange looking." He smiled at her question. "This stone is new. I used to have 5 stones until I lost them. This stone, however, I created from a demon who once served me. I need a demon like him. His name was Krieg. With this stone, I will create a formidable army of demon fire warriors intent on destruction. With her help, I will find a particular stone lost to me a long time ago. The stone is needed to find others. I thank you, Tutu Pele, for your most generous gift. I must bid you farewell to continue my search. I shall stay on your island just a little longer." And with that, he took his leave from her volcano and searched the land for more ancient signs to help him create his army. The tall, dark man underground, present day, 3 years later. The tall, dark man called forth his witches of great power. He called upon their spirits regardless of flesh and blood. He owned their souls, and because of that, they lived to serve only him. 13 powerful witches stood before him, his coven. Tapping his right finger on the stone armrest of his throne, his left hand cradled in his chin. His chin, left crooked from falling in the pit, never straightened and distorted his face. As he looked over towards the coven of his dark witches, he watched them as they bowed in reverence to him. "My coven, I call upon you to create an army of demons from that stone. It is the oldest stone and can be bent to obey my will. Create this army using the stone, as it holds the strongest and hottest fire in the world. It is a volcano fire. Give this army strength, cunning, and power, for it will have to rise against the queen, the angel Zaraquel, and the witch. This army can't be destroyed except by one word. I will give you that word when it is time." The witches stood whispering in front of him. One of them dared to speak. "And what name shall we give these demons? To know one's name is to command it. When the demons are ready, I shall name them myself. That way there is only one master. Do you remember Krieg, the stone demon? These need to be even more vicious. Krieg was the perfect stone demon, but a vampire, and his witch wife destroyed him. Raise my army or suffer my wrath. When you have succeeded, I have more tasks for you in the days ahead." The same outspoken witch came to the tall, dark man and bowed to him. "Yes, Lord, your wish is our command." He saw all the witches standing before him bow in servitude and retreat to create his army. However, the tall, dark man summoned one witch back to him. She was a dark-skinned woman, and he admired her beauty. She was one of his favorites because, despite her physical age, he ensured her youth and beauty. The witch would lie with many men and bear their children, instructing all of them about dark magic and causing speculations during the trials. He saved her after her time in jail by replacing her with a demon molded in her image. The tall, dark man wasn't about to let anything happen to his witch after the Salem trials, not as strong as his sweet Elizabeth Hexam. Her loins bore him many demon sons and daughters. She asked, "Will we create stone demons, or will there be more?" The tall, dark man smiled and shifted his position on his throne. Motioning her to come forward, he grabbed her breasts and titillated them, stimulating her body in response to him. He watched her close her eyes and sway her hips, spreading herself open to him. His witches knew his needs and when to service him. This was one of those times. He grabbed her hair and pulled her head back, her back arched. You, my sweet Tituba, shall give birth to a hunter whose only purpose is to kill the queen and bring me the avenging angel. He will rise from your womb. He will kill the queen and her pets and bring their lifeless bodies to me so that the coven can raise them from the dead and command them to serve me. Only the angel will be left alone. Tituba nodded and replied, I am honored, master. Will this hunter succeed? The last one failed miserably, and you were in a terrible rage of anger. Scratching his chin, he thought for a moment and answered her. Yes, because through him all the demons and beings that serve me will follow his command while he is on his mission. He won't be alone. Be calm. I won't make that mistake again. Now, concentrate on something else, my sweet. Then he covered her with his body and implanted his seed into her womb.